are visiting the Holly History Center today, and we have Julie, who is the Waupaca Historical Society Director here.
Yes, that's
Welcome
correct.
to our show, Julie.
Well, thank you, and welcome to the Holly History Center. I'm glad you came.
Yeah, this is a very interesting place. We've been talking about it just for a few minutes, but tell us a little bit about the history of this particular building.
This building that you're in was built in 1914 in the city of Waupaca with the help of a grant from the Andrew Carnegie Foundation. Its purpose was to serve as the public library for the city of Waupaca. There were a group of ladies in Waupaca, the Waupaca Women's Club at that time, that were very prominent in pushing for a free public library for the city, and the city did apply for the grant and receive that grant money. There's approximately 1,800 Carnegie libraries across across the United States, and Waupaca is lucky enough to have one of those.
And that's one of the first things I said was this the Andrew Carnegie? And you said yes.
Yes, and very prominent with his, his foundation and gifting money to many communities to build wonderful library buildings.
And a $10,000 grant today doesn't sound like much, but in 1914, that went a long ways to this beautiful building.
Yes, and very lovely with leaded glass windows, beautiful beams in the building, so it is a beautiful historic building. But it did serve Waupaca as the public library until 1992, and then the library grew large enough that it ran out of space, and they needed that brand new modern facility that we have in town now. So the building was sold by the city, and it was actually purchased by a couple from Waupaca that opened a restaurant in the building for several years called Carnegie's Cafe. And maybe some of the Waupaca residents will remember that or stopping in here for a good meal. But the restaurant went out of business around 2000, and the building was up for sale again. And then we were delighted at that time that the Waupaca Historical Society did make an offer on the building that was accepted, and we were able to purchase this wonderful historic building for a headquarters building for us and for a history library for the community.
And what a great building. I mean, this really is, you were telling me you have stuff in here. It is really Waupaca's history. So you've got lots of photos from the families that lived here and books. But I want to talk just a little bit about in the background, we have a very rare flag. So why don't you tell us about that, Julie?
Well, the flag on the wall here is a 45-star flag, and those are a little unique in that they're very difficult to find nowadays. It was only a very short period in American history when they issued a 45-star flag, because it kind of jumped from 44 to 46 states fairly fast. So the 45-star flag was only manufactured for a very short time. So you can't find many of those out there. So we're pleased to have one that we've preserved and have hanging on the wall here at the Holly History Center.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. That's worth coming here to see all by itself. So we're going to wander around just a little bit.
Sure, it sounds like fun.
We're actually standing in front of an exhibit. It's the Christine Folks actually donated her salt and pepper shaker collection to you, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So we're standing in front. There's cabinets full of these. There's some really neat ones. What you were telling me is that you rotate exhibits. So you have other things that come in here as well, right?
Yes, that's correct. This exhibit was permanently donated to the Historical Society. Occasionally we'll bring in some temporary exhibits of items that are on loan to us, but we also rotate the exhibits and we try to highlight or show some of the artifacts from our own collection. Occasionally, to give you some examples, I've had lace exhibits, I've had hat exhibits, jewelry exhibits. We've done some exhibits that we think might be a little more interesting to the men, like guns or woodworking. So we do rotate the exhibits here at the Holly Center about 3 to 4 times a year, and we will put different items in these display cases.
And that's kind of neat. It gives me a reason to come back and see something new too.
Yes, yes. I mean, even if you pop in for a quick 5 or 10 minute visit just to take a look at our exhibit, that would be fantastic.
And I'm really glad to have the chance to come down here because I don't think we normally take time out of our days to stop and see something like this. So it's nice to be able to come in here and share with everybody how important it is to come in and see these because they're really beautiful items in here. So what are the hours here? So when can we come visit?
You can come visit. We have limited hours. During the off season, September to May, we only have hours on Wednesday and Friday afternoons from 12 to 3 o'clock. During the summer, then we do increase our hours a little bit between June and August. We're open on Wednesday and Fridays from 12 to 4 and also Saturday mornings from 9 till noon. But we do make exceptions for people in the community and out of town. If you ever want to come for a visit or you're doing research and you need to visit us on a special day, we will make an appointment with you. So don't let our public hours scare you away. I mean, we'd be happy to welcome anytime you're in town.
So we just need to give you a call and get your hours or make an appointment to come in and see you.
Yes, that's correct.
Julie, thank you so much for showing us around the Holly History Center today. It's a beautiful place. It's something Waupaca should be proud of.
Yes, and I hope even the residents right in this community, if they haven't been in this lovely building in a long time, they stop down and visit us soon.
They should, actually.
Okay, thank you for visiting.
We are here at the Hutchinson House with Barbara Fay. It's nice to see you again.
Well, I am so happy to have you and host you here at the Hutchinson House.
And you look very period decor with the dress.
1870s shop girl is what I'm dressed as.
I actually like that. It looks pretty comfortable. But we're actually going to go inside the house and you're going to show us some things and tell us about some of the stories of the items that you have.
Well, yes, this is the house of Chester and Susanna Hutchinson and their 3 sons. One of them had a farm in the area, but as you can see, it was built in 1854, and it was one of the first clapboard houses in Waupaca. It was not built here. It was built over on Franklin Street, corner of Franklin and Fulton, and moved here in the 1950s.
Okay, so you're gonna show us how the Ediphone works, correct? And this is named after Etta's son,
Yes.
correct?
Thomas Elva himself. And the first recordings were made on wax cylinders like this, and they were incised this way. Mm-hmm. So the Ediphone had a large horn so it could be heard, and you had to wind it up. Oh. Oh dear. Oh, I was winding this the other day and it went crack.
Let's go get Mr. Edison.
Let's see, yeah, really. Let's see if we can, okay. So after you wind it up, there's a little pin here that fits on this tray, and so you don't put the music down right away. Oh. Actually,
That's really special, actually.
this is where the sounds come out.
Yeah, we can hear it out of there. The beginning of the stereos.
Yes. So this is what they used before they had then they at some point decided you take this and you squash it flat and have the incisions this way and the records. So the records were the next iteration there.
We're in the kitchen, and this is actually a refrigerator.
Yes, Joni, would you like a nice cup of lemonade?
Yes, I would.
Well, unfortunately, we can't get you one from here, but I can show you what they would do from here. This is Zimmerman's rotary paper refrigerator. And it's not where they kept their paper, but I'm sure as I was growing up, my mom, if she wanted something hot on a picnic or cold, it was wrapped in paper till we got there. Paper's a good insulator. So this was insulated all around, quite thick with paper. Now the ice box was up here. The ice cube would have been put up here. And there's a metal plate. A hose brought the melting water down to the bottom, and you had to empty out your little tray. But then the unique part of this refrigerator is this is how it gets the rotary part of its name. And these are Lazy Susans, which would turn around so you could get the items that were at the back of your refrigerator.
Which is something we all need today so that we don't have to move everything else in the refrigerator. So this is actually an original ice box.
Yes, this is from 1881, but it was called a refrigerator. It was called a refrigerator. And they didn't tack up pictures, but they painted lovely pictures on the refrigerator.
I have never seen anything like that. That is absolutely wonderful. So right now we're talking about stereopticons.
That's
Did
correct.
I do that
That's
correct?
The Victorians loved to find out about exotic places and to travel. So many of the pictures, this was an entertainment. They didn't have movies, they didn't have TV. So stereo, there's two like our eyes. And you see it three-dimensionally. So you look into it, and you adjust this to see where this is individually. And they would take pictures, photographs, have a photograph of their children on either side, the same picture. You use the same picture twice and send them to their relatives. They could see it. It almost looked 3D, like they could be there.
And I saw those, and it really is a 3D effect.
It
so
is.
Very early 3D glasses. That's
Yes,
pretty cool.
And it was the precursor of the
3D
Viewmaster.
The Viewmaster.
Okay, here
I
we
had
go.
one of those when I was a kid.
It was the precursor of the Viewmaster, which you would click. And this was a couple generations before the Viewmaster was my generation, and now we've got iPads and iPods and all of that kind of thing. Glasses that just show you 3D.
Okay, we're in the woodshed, and we have shovels.
We have shovels made completely out of a single piece of wood. I think they are actually beautiful items, but when you think of it, they had to clear all the land. So they had a lot of things made out of wood, besides dishes and big bowls and shovels and things like that, and also a lot of their equipment for farming.
Okay, so when I first walked in here, you asked me to guess what this was, and you told me I was going to be wrong right off the bat. So I want you to tell us a little bit about what this particular piece of furniture is, because it's really neat.
Okay, this would be in one of the public rooms. The greeting room that we're in is one of the public rooms, but it is something that belongs in a private room, so they would want to disguise it. Looks like it could be a chest of drawers. It is actually a folding cabinet bed, and this opens up. The cabinet opens here. There are large hooks that you have to unhook to be able to open the bed up. And as you'll notice on the sides are not solid. There's a split right down the side, and there are gears there. The sides come down to be the bed. This moves all the way forward and becomes the foot of the bed, which allows the top here to fall down flat. So they would have a nice extra bed, because maybe the visitor couldn't stay in a hotel. Maybe there wasn't a hotel, so they wanted to be able to have people who came to visit have a comfortable bed. What a great way
To have it disguised so it can be out, but you always have extra room for families or friends that are staying the night.
Patent for the sensible sad iron. I always called it the sensible sad iron. Now sad meant solid. So when they were solid iron, the handle was iron and everything. You had to have a towel or something because you couldn't pick this up from the stove. So they were always thinking, how could we make this more convenient? So it was a woman who came up with the idea. Her name is Mrs. Potts. Got the patent on if you had a wooden handle. We were talking about wood. Good non-conductor. So she made a handle that could be clipped onto a iron base, and her set, you would get 2 irons, a handle, and a little holder for it. And so you could have one on the stove, and you'd be ironing with one. You'd bring that, just plunk it down, pick up the other one, and off you'd go.
That way you could keep ironing. What a great idea.
Yes, yes, keep iron. And this lovely little item is a ruffler. Again, it would be heated here. This would have, hey, you'd have to have a towel or something. This would be heated on the stove, on the stove, and then you would take this part and make your ruffle.
On clothing.
Clothing. On like cuffs, collars.
Oh, you'd iron in a ruffle. How about that?
So a nice feature we have in the kitchen here is when they made the house, this door opens. It's the wall between the kitchen and the dining room. But when you open it, there
There I am.
is, you can see right through to the dining room, and she could get the dishes from the other side for setting the table.
You wouldn't have to carry them all the way out of the kitchen.
Yeah, how far would that be?
What a great idea. Okay, tell us about this wonderful picture.
Well, this is a memorial painting, and unfortunately it is of a little 10-year-old girl who died, Beth Parrish. But memorial portraits were very popular back then, and they are made, you get this dull, very muted look by having graphite on velvet. It's on velvet fabric. But you can tell the family was very wealthy from all of the size of the frame. This is all pressed wood, gilt, and then velvet. So Beth was a very well-loved little child.
And died at 11 and a half years old from brain fever, which is what the sign says.
Yes, yep, and very well, hardly, greatly missed.
That is a beautiful, beautiful painting.
Now, I had mentioned that we do have a lot of different families who have contributed things to the house here. And this is one of the things I'd like to point out. This painting of Indian Crossing was by Jenny Truesdell, whose mom had been, she had been a Brown, her mother had been a Parrish, and so Hannah Parrish married E.L. Brown, and they had Jenny, who married Mr. Truesdell. Those are three families that are prominent in things that they have given us, prominent in the development of Waupaca, and this illustrates what fine young ladies could do in about 1900. They learned how to paint. They learned how to paint on many different things, and this is one of Jenny's paintings.
And one of the things that we've talked about with this house is that you really say this is the house of Waupaca, because although it was built by the Hutchinsons, it really is all of the, because the Hutchinsons weren't the last people that lived here, this really was a gathering of antiques from lots of different families, right?
Yes, yes, it was. There were so many early families. The Hutchinsons and the Sessions and the Parrish families were all related in some way. What would happen for the whole country as it was developed was people would move from the East Coast somewhere west, and people would then write back to their families at home and say, it's really going to be a going town. To the men, they would say, jobs. There's going to be a lot of jobs. Of course, in Wisconsin, that meant logging, that meant trapping, that meant agriculture, and of course, you'd have to have cities, so merchants, lawyers, everything. To the ladies, they would say, move west. A lot of young men find a good husband. So that's how they kind of populated the country as they went across. So those families were related. The other early families were the Lords, the Ware family, and we have things from each of these families. I'm going through in my head. Mumbrew family, then there were the Anderson, Peterson, Halverson, all of the Norwegian and Danish families. So we have something from just a lot of the families, early families.
You have just beautiful, I was wandering around here just a little bit, you have some beautiful clothing, vintage clothing, you have a phone, you have some great furniture, you just have lots of wonderful things here.
Well, the things we have are often very individual. Many historians who have come to visit the house said, oh, you have something that, we don't see very often. The round refrigerator in the kitchen, it's a rotary refrigerator, has a Lazy Susan in it. We'll look at that, but so that...
I need one of those.
Yes, get the things from the back of the refrigerator. And it has beautiful paintings on the front. But we have quilts. We have so many quilts that are just lovely. We have the furnishings of, the hall tree that, of course, they would have in any upstanding home. We have so many dishes and things from the kitchen gadgets. We have things in our woodshed which were used on farms, in breweries, all over. And then, of course, we have things that were furnishings. We have just all kinds of furnishings. And this is a wonderful house. People are surprised at how large it is when they come in. And often they'll say, well, we can visit for 20 minutes. We usually ask them how long they have to spend. And, you know, an hour later, they'll still be going, no, we can still look. This is interesting. There's still more. But
Yeah.
we do have 11 rooms here, so it is big. It may look small from the outside, but it's quite large inside.
So, okay, now we all want to see it. So how do we go about, what are the hours? How can we come in and see this wonderful place?
Well, we are open from Memorial Day through Labor Day on Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 4. And you can come right to our greeting room. We have volunteer docents who are here to greet you and to help you see around the house different things that might be of interest to you. And so we're open all summer. Now, if you have relatives who come in the summer, please bring them. If they happen to come in April, May, September, October, give us a call. And if we can set up a tour, we'd be happy to set up a tour because we'd like as many people to see this as possible. It is something you will not see anywhere else in the world. This is Waupaca's historical house.
We're here at the train depot in Waupaca today, taking a look around, and we have Mike here who's going to tell us a little bit about it. Welcome, Mike.
Hello, Joni. Nice to have you here.
Well, thank you. It's kind of neat to be inside this building and talk a little bit about it. So tell me the history of the building itself.
This building was built in 1907 after the old wooden depot that was here burned, and it was opened in January of '08. It was built by the Wisconsin Central Railroad, which was before the Sioux Line. And it was built as sandstone walls on the outside and a Spanish tile roof, clay roof. There's the main general waiting room we're in, the women's waiting room over on the other side, and the men's smoking room, and the office behind us. We're right in front of the ticket window where people could come and buy tickets for the passenger trains. That's the main way of traveling back then. So everybody came through the depot whenever they wanted to go on a longer trip. So it was really a well-used place, and everybody went through here.
So you could get anywhere in the United States from here?
Oh yeah, you can make connections. You know, like go to Chicago and connect to other trains there, or go to Minneapolis, or out to the West Coast. You could connect with the Canadian Pacific and go out to the West Coast that way, or up to Ashland. Like you say, you can go all over the place.
Now, you were telling me that this building was abandoned and it was pretty badly vandalized, and you've been working on it to get it restored back to original, right?
That's right. We've been working on it for the past 10 years or so we've had it a while. But the last passenger train through Waupaca to stop here was 1965, so that's when it quit being used as a passenger station. It was used after that as an office, a freight office, and then the section crew, which is the work crew, used this for their headquarters up until about 1986 when the new Wisconsin Central took over. And then they basically abandoned the building. It was for sale, but it got heavily vandalized. The inside and outside was full of graffiti. The windows were all broken. Even the roof, they broke a lot of the tiles out of the roof, so it leaked really badly. And then some of the plaster was coming down. The floor was buckled. Somebody made a fire in the middle of the floor in this room, burned a big hole in it, and just everything. It was really in rough shape.
But you've done a ton of work. The floor is this is all original. Now you're saying that it's going to be refinished in the spring.
It's original boards, but they've all been relayed. We took up the whole floor and relayed it all because it was all buckling from the water and then the rotted areas. What we did was when they were tearing down the armory, we got some of the flooring from there, the gym, and we were able to use that in the side waiting rooms and have enough of the original flooring to relay the main waiting room here. So this is all part in the original flooring.
That's pretty exciting to hear. Now, if I want to come see and visit this place, you were telling me that you don't have regular hours.
Right now, the Historical Society owns this building, And we have the Holly Center, the old library, and the Hutchinson House also. So our members are spread kind of thin to keep every place open. However, what we do here is I'm here working pretty frequently. So whenever you see my truck here or my bike or something, you can certainly stop in, which a lot of people do. Or you can call the Historical Society and make an appointment, or you can come to one of the events that are here. We always have an open house during Strawberry Fest, and other events go on.
Now, we also can see you have a booth, you have a caboose, and you have a trolley car here. So can you tell us a little bit about those?
Well, the caboose was a Milwaukee Road caboose, which had been bought by Jim Taylor, and he was at a cheese company in Waupaca. And he had it in his yard, and he fixed it all up inside for his kind of backyard hideaway. But as he is getting older, he could no longer get in it anymore. So he wanted to see it go to a good home. It was his, he was probably enjoying his backyard. So he gave it to us to take care of for him, and we were happy to get it.
And I can go in there. If you're here or whatever, I could go in and take a look around, which is kind of exciting.
And then the other building, like you asked about the trolley, even before we got the depot, the Model Railroad Club, which I'm also a member of, was able to get the last old Waupaca trolley car. It had been made into a hunting and fishing cabin by White Lake in 1926, and then eventually pushed off into the woods when they built the better cabin. It was rotting away there. The property was for sale, and they wanted to get rid of that, what was becoming an eyesore, so the Model Railroad Club took it. Like I say, I'm also a member of that, so I was working on restoring that. But we never had a really good place to keep it. We just stored in barns and at the fairgrounds in the winter and different places like that. So when the Historical Society got this property, we had enough room at the bottom of the hill there. So actually the Model Railroad Club donated it to the Historical Society. It's like me working on it either way, so it didn't matter much. So we built that building to keep it in down there.
So this is kind of nice because you can come, you can see the whole train depot itself. You said trains go by here.
There's about 20 trains a day that go by here right outside. They're really close.
So you can watch.
Exciting for kids.
So you can watch the trains go by, and then we can also take a look in the caboose, and we can take a look at the trolley car. So it's a really nice grounds here, right in Waupaca, so it's an easy place to get to. So thanks, Mike, for your time today, and we'll take a look around a little.